All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you what to do with the data once you've entered it. So we're assuming now that you've actually added students, you've also added services, whether it was by period or just by selecting the student. And again, to kind of show you what I'm talking about, you clicked on one of the buttons, you selected a student, and you submitted some data. Now, that data would be related to their goals, and that's that. Now, if you don't wish to enter any of that data, then you just click on the close sidebar right there. But you can select any of the periods, of course, if you need to change if you clicked on the student. Now, to get to the reports, they're down here at the bottom. So I have not changed any of the reports, and this is probably what you're going to be looking at the first time that you do this as well. So if I click on the first report, report comprehensive, it shows me all of the goals. So if you do have 3 or 4 goals, it will pop up here. The activity is whether or not the student is active, like you're actually administering services or not. So it just helps to drill down. So period, you can select your period here as well. I don't really remember the period numbers for these particular students, so I'm going to just click delete, and this will actually populate. I have to give it a minute, but it'll populate, a second. It'll populate all the students if I get rid of the period number. So let's say that I want to check out Ahmet Bajanuk, and I can see now his goal, which our goals or objectives pop up here, and then I can actually see the performance down here. Now these are blank, so that's fine. Just leave it that way. And this one is, I don't see why it's populating that 75 unless there's some type of value that's in there that's reading from. Um, so I'll take a look at that before I send it out. The If I'm doing a report just on a couple of objectives, let's say that it's 2 objectives, I can again, let's delete that, okay, and give it a second. It'll populate, Bajanuk, okay. So again, he doesn't have any objectives or goals here for 3 and 4, so I click switch, and it will repopulate. What's really nice here is the chart actually shows us the line right here. Um, that is the performance goal percentage that we set, and then of course we can see the data that's presented here over time. Now this isn't by week, but this is at least by each entry. So if we're doing this daily or weekly, then it can pop up over here. So this is nice. We see this light blue line, which is kind of our trend line. So we can start to see where the students are going. Um, the last sheet that I have here or tab that's in color is the report notes. So if you have notes that have been typed up, then it'll populate here. So let's give it a second. Okay. Give it another second. There we go. So it populates the, again, Bajanuk. Now this chart is set up a little differently, and it doesn't appear to be reading from there. So let's tidy up the sheet. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that actually makes these go here. I can select my data, edit chart. Okay, so this is pulling from C9, 10 to give us our baseline, and then you'll notice that this is F21 to F31, which are these cells right here. So I'm not sure why it's not populating data. Okay. All right, so I'll figure that out before I send out. But again, you have your baseline, and then you'll have your data that populates here. Um, Data analysis. Now, the data analysis page, this uses something called a pivot chart or a pivot table rather, and the pivot table is right here. So when you click on this, initially, it's probably going to be blank like this one. The formulas are all in here, and basically the way that this is set up is you have rows of students, periods, dates that are going to appear, that are going to get filled in over here. The columns are going to be the average for goal 1, the average for goal 2, average for goal 3, and 4. Now, there are different ways of filtering this out, and this is the important part that you need to look at. So right here where it says student, you can click, let's say select all, because we really want to see all of our students. So it's going to populate all the students that we have and the periods. So we need to make sure that we, again, click all here so that we can see all the periods. Now, what's really cool about pivot tables is that you can drill down into this information. So let's say that I am interested in, let's collapse this. Let's have a student that's in multiple classes or periods. So let's say that we're looking at Fabrice or Breeze Fa. Okay. So if we're looking at Breeze Fa, we can look at these two different periods in which the student is receiving services. So we can look at period 2 and we can look at period 8. Now we can see right here that some of her grades are lower in this later period. And I think this is kind of important to be able to filter through some of this data. Now, the dates here this is not sorted by date. So one of the things that we can do is we can actually start to filter that out too. We can get rid of, for instance, the period filter. Okay. I'm just going to get rid of it like that. And this chart, oh, I didn't do that. Huh. Oh, it's probably because I have it up here. So if I close that, okay, that gets rid of it. So now we're going to be able to sort it by date, and we need to do anything? I don't think we do. So it's populating by date. Okay. So, and it gives us our averages right here. So that's nice. That's good. Um, so there are different things that you can do and different things that you can play around with the pivot tables, and you can create your own charts and graphs as well from those, which is actually pretty nice, and it's a fun thing to do. So play around with that, and hopefully this is a pretty good example of what you can do and produce. I'm going to try to check up on the other chart and see what's going on with that chart on the notes page, but that should be up and working by the time I send this out. All right, enjoy.